Hello everybody, my name is Roberta.irizarry, and once again I just want to thank you guys so much for being here on day 3 of my 30-day video challenge. I also want to thank you guys for watching day 1 and 2 and the awesome comments, and I want to thank you guys for your kind words and for all the positive energy I've been getting, and for, like I said, for your comments and kind words. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Today is day 3, and we're going to be talking about a man's freedom, a man's journey towards freedom. My apologies. But before I get into that, I just want to say one thing. In video number 1, I introduced myself to let you guys know basically who I am, what I'm about, what I do, and stuff like that. Now, as far as what I do and how I do that, we're going to get into that in the next series of trainings throughout these 30-day video training series, and we're going to be getting really into depth, into substance, so it's so you guys take away something awesome, something great. So what I'd like to do is I tend to go in order. There's a sequence to this and how things get done. So first we went over the basic introduction about who I am, and day number 2 I went over the vision. I went over a certain amount of topics there, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about a man's journey towards freedom. But like I said, before I do that, I just want to let you know one thing. In day number 1, although I did introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me, there's a few things that I left out on purpose. Now, what I left out, you're going to find out on day number 30. And there's a reason to it, and you'll find out on day number 30. Just be patient. Understand that there's always a reasoning why I do what I do, and you'll get to understand why on day number 30. But we're going to have so much fun doing this video series. I'm having fun. I'm hoping that you're having a great time. So let's get down to business, okay? A man's journey towards freedom. Back in July of '99, I had taken some leave time because I was getting ready to retire from the military. And so I was moving towards Orlando area. So one day I was on the dock about maybe 2 miles from my house fishing, and a gentleman walked up to me and had asked me for something, and I had given him what he had asked me for, and I happened to have it with some fishing gear, or either with some tackle or something that he had needed. And he understood, by talking with him, that I spoke Spanish and he spoke Spanish, and he introduced himself. His name is Ray, and I introduced myself, and from that point onwards we became really good friends. So I told him, I said, listen, I'm on leave right now from the military. I'm going to be leaving in a few days, but I'll be back in 30 days. So let's exchange phone numbers and let's keep in contact. And so, we did that, folks. We remained in contact. And when I came back after my retirement in August 11th, '99, out of the military, which was my official retirement date, I went back to Orlando, and I met up with my friend Ray. Now, Ray told me what his story was. So I'm just going to relate to you this gentleman's journey towards freedom. So it's not going to be a very long story. I'm going to make it really quick. So here you got a guy who was born and raised in La Habana in Cuba. He's a Cuban by birth. And so he always understood that he had wanted to come to the United States, but he couldn't come here legally. He understood that if he was going to make his dreams come true, that he was going to be able to do that here in the United States, in the land of the free, and the home of the brave, and the home of the opportunity. And so he needed to find a way to get here. Legally, he could not, because back in that day, Castro and his regime was, very strict on people trying to leave the country. And so one night, he decided to leave with his cousin and a friend of his. And so they got on this little rubber dinghy, inflated dinghy, and decided to get inside this big inner tube and to swim towards the international line. Now, folks, the international line is 12 miles from the Cuban shores. So 12 miles out is where the international line is. Now, he swam during the nighttime because in the daytime you were going to get caught. So he swam at night, him and his friend and his cousin. And they got to the 10-mile marker, folks, and all of a sudden the Cuban the Cuban police were patrolling that area and caught him. So now what happens? Now they take him to jail because he's trying to escape Cuba. He's going against, Castro and his regime and their beliefs and what have you. And all he was trying to do, folks, was try to get towards the international line, to try to get one way here to the United States, because of his dream, because of his vision, because of the determination that he had, back then. Unfortunately, he only made it to the 10-mile marker and got arrested. Guess what? He spends the next 3 years in jail. Now, while he's in jail, he is one focused individual. He is determined that he's going to do whatever it is that he can to go out and do it again. Now, all he's waiting for is his 3-year sentence to be up so that he can go ahead and do it again. Now, this is a guy who's extremely determined, folks. Now, let me paint a little picture to you about what that's like. Now, here it is, you're getting into the ocean at night in a dinghy, going God knows where, because, there's nothing but water. It's 90 miles that separates Cuba from the United States. You're not going to swim all of that, but all you got to do is make it towards that international line. Because if you get picked up by anybody after the international line, then you can seek asylum or seek whatever here in the United States. And even then you got problems. But anyway, here's an individual who's in jail for 3 years, and he's planning his next maneuver. So guess what? 3 years pass by. He waits a week. This time, he makes it a little bit better. So the contraption that he made was a little bit better, and he had like a little 3 horsepower, 4 horsepower little engine on it this time. And he went with another friend and another person with him. And this time they made it to the international line. Made it past the 12-mile marker. And the United States, the United States ships that were patrolling the international waters at that time picked him up. Now from there, he was sent to Guantanamo Bay for 1 year. Now, while he was at Guantanamo Bay, they were, vetting him and making sure that he wasn't a threat to become a citizen of the U.S. or even being able to come into the United States. Because back then, the laws were, even though they were strict, they're not as strict as they are today. However, it took him a year in Guantanamo Bay. So what was he doing in Guantanamo Bay during that year? He was planning on what he was going to make. What was his next maneuver going to be when he stepped on U.S. soil? What was he going to do? He thought about everything, folks. It was, one step after the other. So during this year at Guantanamo Bay, he learned how to speak a little bit of English because he didn't know English all that well. So he spoke it. He spoke it, with a very heavy accent. Sometimes you understood him, sometimes you didn't. But at least he made the attempt. And folks, he didn't care that people laughed at him because he misspoke an English word. That just gave him more fire in his heart to learn how to speak English correctly. So he said, hey man, I don't care what they say or if they laugh or whatever. I'm determined to learn English one way or another because I got to now think about how I'm going to be able to generate an income when I get there. Okay, so a year passes by. Now he touches U.S. soil in Miami. And he got on the ground, knelt down, and kissed the land that he had just finished stepping onto, because to him, this meant that, he was going to be able to do all of those things that sometimes, folks, we take for granted. He wanted those things such as, the freedoms and the privileges and the rights and all the opportunity that we have at our fingertips, that we have at our feet, at our disposal, and many times we take for granted. Well, people like that, like Ray, who have a goal already established, a very big why, determination, had the vision, spoke the power of the spoken word. This guy had it all, folks, but he did it on a 10 times, squared. This guy was determined to get here one way or another. And I'll tell you, his story is amazing. So guess what? Now he gets to Miami, and he figures, okay, now I need to learn a trade or a craft or something that's going to make me money. Because I can't go to work for somebody because I'm here illegally. So what does he do? While he establishes the way that he's going to remain here on a legal status, he decided to get into the heating and air conditioning industry. Now, folks, I'll tell you, it wasn't easy for him in the beginning because I'll tell you it was hard. He needed a place to stay. He had to continue to learn English. He didn't have money. And so he met along with some other people who had made it here on a similar basis, the same way that he had made it here, and he made friends. And he continued to make friends and continued to give out of his own goodness of his heart and help others, even though he needed help. He still was, did the right thing. And I'll tell you what, folks, nowadays, Ray is he was an awesome individual back then, and he's even awesomer today. Today, he's got his own thriving heating and air conditioning business. He's got his own house. He's had multiple boats, to include now a 28-foot boat with a cabin for us to go fishing. He drives a Mercedes-Benz. He's had multiple, high-class cars, to include Mercedes, BMWs, and so, he has everything that he needs, and he has told me multiple times that he owes it, to the thanks and the glory of God who watched over him in that dark waters, And he's a person that always remembers where he came from. So now, this story, you're probably asking yourself, well, what does this story have to do with the things that I'm doing on the internet, man? It has everything to do with it. Because first of all, I'm telling you a story about a man who came here and took advantage of the freedoms that you take for granted, the rights and the privileges and everything else, an opportunity that knocks at your door. How many times does opportunity have to knock at your door before you decide to take action? That's the question there. And then here's a gentleman that is not even from America, not born in America, but yet people judge him. And that's something that we have to stop doing. We're not here to judge anyone. We shouldn't be judging anybody to begin with. Why? Because they came and they had the vision and they took, action. They took massive action and, have the store on the corner, have the store down the street and, are thriving and are making money and are putting people to work. Cut that crap out. Take advantage of the opportunities that lie before you and understand what you have in your hand. Remember, folks, you got your belief level has to be high. Your why has to be the number one priority and the number one reason that you do things. You have to have that vision, determination, and the power of the spoken word. And trust me, you'll get there. Now, I wanted to tell you this gentleman's story because I thought it's an awesome story. And maybe that might trigger something in you. You hearing this story about one man's journey for freedom and one man's journey to be a success when he really didn't have all of that stuff, to him, where he came from. He had a rough time. He had a rough life. Now, I'm not saying that some of you don't have it hard and some of you don't have it rough. What I'm saying is that you guys have the opportunity, have the means, and have a solution. So I just want to, just reiterate, folks, this has everything to do with what we're doing, because once again, if the determination is not there, if your belief level is not there, if the vision is not there, if your why is not big enough, I'm telling you, nothing's going to get done. So I'm here to tell you it is possible. I know so many people just like that, with stories just like that, who have made something of themselves because they want it that bad. So how bad do you want it? Now always remember, I'm here to be of service. I've always told everybody that. That's just who I am. Now come here and ask for help, ask for assistance. Don't be, so hard that you're not able to ask for help and ask for assistance. Or be humble about it. You know what I mean? Always remain humble and never forget where you came from. Because you see, I know people that here have made a lot of money in the industry, and all of a sudden they're so stuck up and their noses are so high in the sky, you can't touch them with a 10-foot pole. But yeah, they're like Jenny from the block. Can't be like that either, folks. This is a great place. See, the internet and what we do on the internet and how we make money is not about where we come from. It's not about race, creed, color, religion, sexual orientation, or nothing like that. This is one person helping another worldwide. Doesn't matter where you come from, who you are, what you look like. It don't matter. If you want it that bad, you'll find a way to get it done. And I'm telling you, I'm here to help you do that. All you have to do is ask. It says that if you ask, you shall receive. Knock, and the door shall be opened to you. So folks, I just wanted to tell you this story. I wanted to tell you why I told you this story. And so I'm hoping that you guys have great value and got inspired about this man's goal, this man's mission, this man's journey towards freedom and all that he went through. For you guys to understand that you guys have it so much easier. You guys got everything at your fingertips. So much tools on this bad boy right here. You know, you guys got, all you have to do is go out and find a leader, find a business, find something that you're passionate about, and go out and get help. And we're here to help you. Once again, I just want to tell you guys, my name is Roberta.irizarry. I hope you guys enjoyed today's session. Tomorrow's session, we're going to be talking about a little bit about organization. Organizational skills and what you're going to need prior to you engaging on anything on the computer, on the internet, or doing what you're doing. So we're going to get ourselves organized first before we can do anything, because organization, you know, is everything. Content is key. There's a lot of things I'm going to be saying, and you'll understand as the training series goes by. And so I look forward to doing these videos, and I look forward to continuing my challenge. And so I will see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great Holy Wednesday. You guys have a blessed Holy Week. And I wish you guys nothing but continued success in all that you do. You guys have a great day. Take care. See you tomorrow. Don't forget.